This video will provide an overview of the unit CHCPRP003, Reflect on and Improve Own Professional Practice. This unit will describe the skills and knowledge required to evaluate and enhance your own practices through the process of reflection and ongoing professional development opportunities. This is the unit which is applicable for all the workers in the community service industry who want to take a proactive approach and a responsibility for their own learning and their professional development. Now let's talk about the elements and the performance criteria of this unit. There are main three elements which are to be covered in this unit. First one is reflect on your own practice. Second is enhance your own practice. Third is facilitate an ongoing professional development. Now for all these three elements, there are different performance criteria given for specific element. To begin with, let's talk about the first element, which is reflect on your own practice. Now what do we do in this one? In this one, we are going to do a self-evaluation, a reflection of how you're doing your own work. Basically understanding what things you're good at and what things you're bad at. Self-performance assessments are to be conducted in this segment, and this will allow creating a channel of communication between you and your manager, where you talk about the formal performance appraisal process as well. So you would be taking some self-evaluation along with your supervisors and peers, and then you would be reflecting upon the effect and impact of your values, beliefs, attitudes, and the behavior that you put into your work practices. Now these are very important, and before we understand how these are impacting, you need to understand where these values, beliefs, and behaviors coming from. What are the stereotypes associated with it? What is an unbiased conscious associated with that? So when we're doing all these assessments, it's important that we're honest with ourselves and we're reflecting without any kind of biasness. We're reflecting with an open approach, with a more accepting approach. This element will cover these four performance criteria. So you'd have to undertake self-evaluations, reflecting on your values, beliefs, and sharing two-way and open communication with your co-workers and peers. This also involves actively seeking and reflecting on feedback, and that feedback can be from anyone. That feedback can be from our colleague, a client, or our manager. So when we receive feedback from other people, we understand that sometimes we may not be fully agreeing to it, because sometimes we don't agree with what other people think of our performance, because every human is different and we have a different approach towards work practices. This all again comes back to our values, beliefs, and the behavior. But when you do a self-check honestly, you know about your weaknesses and your areas of importance, which is why in this segment, we would be going deep into reflecting on your own performance and understanding those areas of improvement for yourself. This basically means just combining your own judgment about your own work and then making some amendments or changes as required to improve your practices. And that's why we would be gathering and analyzing a lot of feedbacks from your clients and organization. A lot of the component of this unit is about practical exposure, where you would have to get and obtain feedback from other clients or your supervisor you're working with. Now moving forward, we have element 2, which is enhance your practice, your own practices. Now what do we do that? We've established some work practices and we need to know how we're improving that day by day. How we're getting better and better at everything. So this involves a lot of self-care practices, understanding how you are taking a step back, where you're prioritizing a work-life balance also. A good understanding about the professional development opportunities, as well as this needs to be an ongoing process, as this is directly linked with our professional development, PDs and trainings and webinars and seminars. And then also setting some very smart goals, which are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time-bound. So we would talk deep about these topics when understanding how we can improve and enhance the work practices. This element also have few performance criteria which are mentioned here. So we need to determine the improvements needed based on our own evaluation and feedback from others. We need to identify potential support networks which are available both internally and externally to the organization. There may be some sort of specialist advice we might seek if required, depending upon the areas of needs. And then we also have to recognize, self-care practices, the need for self-care, taking the breaks, taking day offs, and any other kind of additional support like an employee assistance program or a debriefing session as needed. Lastly, in this element, we also cover how to devise, document, and implement a self development plan, and then setting some realistic goals and targets for ourselves. The last element for this unit is how we can facilitate ongoing professional development. Now, this bit of ongoing development is majorly on our employer, manager, and supervisor, and how they're accommodating those things in our work practices. It's important that we understand that continuous improvement needs to be an ongoing process because it's integral to everything what we do if we want to improve in that job role. It keeps bringing back your focus on your areas of improvement, and the whole philosophy of continuous improvement, it focuses on making the gradual and small changes rather than making a big change all at once. So this element has four criterias, and first one is to access and review information on current and emerging industry developments and use these to improve the work practices. So before you put these to use to your industry experiments, you need to understand where you have to access these. Where are you going to find out those current emerging trends, specifically to community sector? Second one is to assess and confirm your own practices against ethical and legal requirements and opportunities. Now, when we did the CHCPRP003 and it managed legal and ethical compliance, we talked a lot about what are legal requirements, what are ethical requirements, and how to ensure compliance in both. So we have to make sure that all the work practices are well aligned with that. Additionally, our values and beliefs are also working in accordance with these. Third one is identify and engage with opportunities to extend and expand your own expertise. That could be you taking an initiative to run training sessions or taking part in training sessions or attending some sort of professional networks or webinars, engaging yourself in those activities which lead to some sort of improvement of your work. The last one is to regularly participate in review processes as a commitment to upgrading skills and knowledge. In this one, we talk about the performance appraisals, we talk about the self performance reviews as well, and how these could offer a lot of benefits. So, this would involve making a list of your own positive attributes and your unique qualities, talking about the things that you've achieved at your workplace, and then reflecting on your mistakes and what things you need to improve on. So these were the four performance criterias which we have to cover, but in total three elements for this unit, and we would have to do assessment tasks in order to meet all these criterias. That's the unit. Thank you very much.